Jam is out of jail. And what that means for Lil Durk? That means that Lil Durk is done. They offering people immunity probably to get Lil Durk. They want him. They don't want nobody. Bonnie said 5 to 7 years. He broke his whole thing down. He hoping that he get 5 to 7 years, rather. He don't know if he gonna get it. He's just breaking down that he don't got no criminal record, and that's what Bonnie going off of. So Bonnie's saying 5 to 7 years, and it's possible that the feds, the prosecutor, can grant him full immunity.
F Jam just touched down, and the very first move he made after hitting the streets was blasting his location and daring anyone who'd been talking reckless about him to pull up, no filter, no hesitation, just straight pressure from a man who'd been locked up. Had his name dragged, had people calling him a rat while he sat in a cell with no way to defend himself, and now he's home. But here's what makes this whole situation even crazier. The chain of events that led here didn't just involve Jam. It actually started at the very top with Lil Durk himself, one of the biggest names in rap, getting hit with a federal indictment. And before we even dive into that, you need to know this: when Jam first came home from a previous bid, it was Durk who stood behind him. So how did things go from loyalty like that to a federal case, accusations of cooperation, and Jam now calling people out in his own circle? Wait, felt like a betrayal of something deeper. At some point, Jam got picked up again, and while he was sitting in federal custody, possibly facing serious time, whispers started spreading word, began circulating in certain circles that Jam might be cooperating with the government, that he could be giving information to federal prosecutors tied to the RICO case against OTF. Let that sink in. The feds are building a case against Durk, and OTF, a member of that same circle, gets arrested, and suddenly rumors start flying that he might be working with the same authorities, trying to take the whole group down. So what made people think Jam was cooperating? This is where it gets tricky, because in situations like this, a lot of information moves through rumors, through partial court documents, insider talk, and patterns. People start noticing when someone gets hit with serious charges, and then their case starts moving differently when things go quiet, when court dates don't line up, when charges seem to fade or get reduced without clear reasons. People in the streets start connecting dots. There were also claims about specific details leaking, things only people inside the OTF circle would know, allegedly showing up in court discovery or in information prosecutors had access to without breaking down every detail. The narrative being pushed by those convinced Jam was cooperating was this: that he had given insight into how OTF operates, about certain incidents, certain individuals, and possibly even about Durk himself in a federal RICO case. Insider cooperation is one of the strongest tools prosecutors have, and people watching closely knew that, so the rumors spread fast across social media comment sections, YouTube channels, DM people started saying it openly. Jam is telling Jam is working with the feds. Jam is a rat for someone like Jam, who lived this life, who stood beside these people, who came home and rebuilt himself with the help of those he considered family. Those accusations hit hard, and they were spreading while he was still locked up with no way to respond in real time or defend himself directly. And here's the reality in that world: once that label gets attached, it sticks. It doesn't matter how much proof exists or doesn't exist. Once people start saying it, it follows you, and not everyone spreading it is doing it. Honestly, sometimes information gets twisted, sometimes it's used as a weapon, and sometimes the person being accused doesn't even fully know what they're fighting against. This is where things shift, because Jam isn't the type to stay quiet. He's not someone who lets his name get dragged without reacting. While he was locked up, there wasn't much he could do, but the moment he stepped back into the free world, he made it clear he hadn't forgotten anything that was said about him. Jam came home with a message, and it wasn't subtle. He hit social media and made it clear. He knew exactly what people had saying. He addressed the cooperation rumors head on. His stance: Fermi's not a cooperator. He didn't work with the feds. He didn't give information on Durk, OTF, or anyone else, period. And he wasn't about to let those claims slide unchecked. But what made his response different from the usual "I'm not a rat" denial was the energy behind it. He wasn't just defending himself. He was coming with pressure. He was angry, and honestly, it made sense. Think about it. Sitting locked up, hearing your name get destroyed, being labeled something that can put you in danger, all while you can't say a word. That kind of frustration builds, and the moment he got out, it exploded from Morrig. What Jam showed publicly, his mindset was simple. He knew who had been talking, and now that he was back, it was time to address it. No code words, no diplomacy. He made it clear the same people talking behind his back wouldn't say it to his face. Now they had the chance. That kind of energy comes from real place. When your name gets disrespected and you're forced to sit with it, it doesn't disappear, it builds up. And for Jam, coming home from a federal situation while his reputation was getting torn apart outside, that pressure had reached its peak. He wasn't talking about peace. He wasn't looking for calm conversations. He was ready for confrontation, and this is where things really turned heads. Jam didn't just post a few vague messages or deny the rumors quietly. He went further. He dropped his actual location where he stays, and he told anyone who had been talking to pull up and say it to his face. Let that really sink in, because that's not something you see every day, even in this world. Most people coming home from jail try to stay low, avoid attention, and move carefully, especially with an active federal situation still surrounding their circle. The last thing most would do is publicly invite problems to their doorstep, but Jam wasn't moving like that. Whether it was calculated or just pure emotion, his response was different. He had been locked up watching his name get dragged, losing time, losing freedom, and when he got out, the talk hadn't stopped, so his answer was simple. I'm here now, say it. To me, from one perspective, it's understandable in that environment. Your reputation is everything. It's not just pride, it's safety, trust, and how people deal with you. If that label sticks, it impacts every part of your life. Sometimes defending your name means confronting things head on. But here's the flip side: coming home from a federal situation with the feds already watching, closely, making moves like this comes with risks. Posting your location, inviting confrontation that can escalate quickly, not just in the streets, but legally too. The feds watch everything: social media statements, public behavior, and in the wrong situation, that kind of exposure can be used. But in that moment, Jam wasn't thinking about any of that. He was home. His name had been disrespected, and he wanted answers face to face. It was raw, emotional, and exactly what happens when someone holds everything in for long and finally lets it out now. The big question is, what does Lil Durk think about all of this? What's the reaction from the top of OTF? Because Durk's situation right now is one of the most complicated in the world right now. He's dealing with his own federal cases, freedom on the line, non-stop legal battles, and serious pressure. The last thing someone in that position needs is extra chaos around his circle, and yet that's exactly what's unfolding from Durk's side. What we've seen is him staying publicly loyal to OTF and showing support for his people. He's been extremely careful with his words, and for good reason. Anything he says could be used against him. But overall, his stance has been clear. Stand by his team and trust the process for OTF as a whole. This situation is a real stress test. Federal cases bring a level of pressure most groups can't survive without. Cracks forming, people get nervous, people start making moves for themselves. Trust begins to fade. And when trust fades in a circle this tight, where everybody knows everything about everybody, things can spiral fast in multiple directions. The cooperation rumors around Jam, whether true or not, are exactly the kind of issue that can break a crew from the inside, because once doubt creeps in, once people start questioning who's talking and who isn't, that unity that once made the group strong starts falling apart, and the government understands this. In many federal RICO cases, the strategy isn't just prosecution. It's pressure, enough pressure and suspicion to make the entire structure collapse on its own. Step back for a second and look at the bigger picture, because this isn't new. There's a pattern here that keeps repeating over the past decade. Federal RICO cases targeting rap crews and street organizations have become more common. Young Thug and Issel in Atlanta, Gunna getting caught up in that same situation. Casanova in New York, case after case, where the government drops a massive indictment, arrests multiple people at once, and then applies intense pressure to see who folds. And that pressure isn't just legal, it's personal, financial, emotional. People are locked up away from family, staring at the possibility of decades in prison, while the government offers deals that could change everything if they cooperate. Not everyone takes those deals. Some stand solid, some cooperate partially, some get pushed into decisions they later regret. And sometimes people get accused of cooperating when they didn't, because someone else wants to shift attention or stir confusion. It's a complicated, messy environment where the truth isn't always clear from the outside. What Jam is dealing with coming home to cooperation allegations he strongly denies isn't rare. It's something that plays out again and again in his response. Loud, direct, aggressive, showing defiance and standing on his name. That's also part of the pattern. It's a way of saying, I'm not hiding, I'm not scared. Come see for yourself. Here's the reality of it. Jam just came out of a serious situation: incarceration, federal attention, rumors about cooperation. And the first thing he did was step right into the spotlight. Whether you agree with his approach or not, you have to understand the energy behind it when your name is everything. And it gets questioned, especially in a world where that can carry real consequences. The reaction isn't going to be calm. Calculated, it's going to be raw. The loyalty Durk showed Jam when he came home before that was real. And now Jam coming home and fighting to clear his name in his mind is part of that same loyalty. It's him proving. He didn't fold, proving he is who he said. He was proving those claims are false. The part in all of this is that everyone involved is dealing with the ripple effects of a federal investigation designed to create exactly this type of tension. The goal in a RICO case is to make people turn on each other, to break trust, to make the entire group unstable. And whether it's Durk handling charges, Jam facing these accusations, or OTF trying to hold itself together, that pressure is doing its job on some level, even if nobody admits it. At the end of the day, Jam is home, and that matters. He made it through whatever he had to face, and he's still standing his reaction to everything. Wait for him outside is intense and confrontational. But it's also real. He's not acting like everything is fine. He's letting people know exactly where he stands, and what time it is, and honestly, after everything that was said about him while he was locked up. You can't say he didn't come home ready. Smoke whether that energy leads to something productive or creates more issues later, that's still up in the air. But one thing is certain. Jam isn't the type to let things slide. He came home, said what he had to say, dropped his location, and now he's watching to see who's really about the energy we're showing online. Something tells me not too many people are actually going to pull up. Stay tuned. This situation is far from over.